Hey guys, Gale Force Online here to bring you another one of my trash builds. Now this is the last part in my Jack of all trades sorcerer build. So this is the PvP setup. So in the last videos I've done a DPS build, a tank build and also a healing build. So take a look at the videos down below, and this is the PvP setup. So I actually just realized that I didn't have food buffs active on the previous videos. So I apologize for that. So the resources would definitely be more once I activate those foods. So the changes I've made since the last build, I just equipped the Inferno Staff again from the Frost Staff. Changed back to the Molokina and Balarox. So pretty much the same gear setup as the DPS build. And now looking at the character sheet, 31k max magicka, 24k health, resistances sitting at about 20k on physical and spell resistance, and 4500 spell damage unbuffed. So the spell and physical resistance would sit about 25k once I boost it, and thanks to the Dragon Guard, if I'm starting to get into trouble and my health drops below 50%, I get that extra 3380 physical and spell resistance as well, which is really nice. Alright, let's take a look at the skills. So on the front bar is Endless Fury. So this skill has initial damage of 4400 shock damage. And also, if the target falls below 20% health within 4 seconds of being struck by this, it deals an additional 16k shock damage. So this is usually my finishing move, definitely not my intro move to start with. If once the enemy drops below that 20% health, this is definitely a good execution skill. Then Haunting Curse, which deals 14 or 15k magic damage there at 3.5 seconds, and also at 8.5 seconds it does that 15k magic damage as well. So once I spot the target, this will be my first skill to activate, followed then by Endless Fury, or if Crystal Frags did activate on the first skill, I would activate that first and then move on to Endless Fury. So that will give me that window of 3.5 seconds for this to activate. Once that activates with additional 5k shock damage there, should be enough to drop them below 20%. Alright, then the third skill is Crystal Frags, which deals 15k magic damage there if you hard cast it. So hard cast means you need to use that 1 second cast time there in order to activate the skill, but it also has a chance to proc for every magicka ability you use. So if this skill procs, it turns red, and you can activate it with a 33% more damage and 50% less magicka cost. Also becomes a instant cast skill, so very good to have the skill procced and then activate than trying to hard cast it. And then the Sparked Bone Shield, which is the stamina shield from the Undaunted skill line. Now the reason I use a stamina shield here is if I'm running into trouble and I need to spam a shield, I'll use stamina instead of magicka, because all my other skills use magicka, so my stamina pool is untapped. So I can use this skill several times before running out of resources and trying to heal with magicka and shielding up with stamina. So the Bone Shield grants me about 9k damage shield for 6 seconds, returns some damage there on top of that. The shield does grant a synergy, but in the in PvP areas, synergies don't get activated as much or don't get as much looked at as they do in PvE content. Then the Twilight Matriarch is the pet I use because I'm a sorcerer and I do like my pets. It does some damage there. Also, if you use the pet correctly, you can actually move between the pet and your target, so they would hit your pet instead if their targeting is not quite correct. The pet does about 1400 shock damage, and also activating the pet's skill will heal me and 2 other nearby targets for about 10k health. So if you see somebody close by that's struggling, definitely activate the skill trying to get that health back up there and potentially survive the encounter. And then the ultimate I use on the front bar is Reviving Barrier. So this is my skill I use if I run into a lot of trouble. I see that is definitely getting close to being killed. Activating this skill grants me a damage shield of 47k for 30 seconds. Now in PvP areas that shield is halved, so it's only about a 20k damage shield. So that's enough to get me about 2/3 up my health bar. Also heals me for 19k over 15 seconds, but that healing is reduced as well because the PvP area. Now moving on to the back bar is mostly support or buffs that I use on myself in PvP encounters, because you don't want to constantly be buff swapping in PvP, you just don't have enough time in encounters. So first one I use is Charging Maneuvers, which increases my movement speed by 30% and an additional 10% for 8 seconds. So if you need to quickly run away, use this skill, but it does use a lot of stamina as well, so your sprinting time is a lot less. The main reason you use this skill is for the Major Gallop. In Cyrodiil, if you need to ride around your horse for a long time, that 30% boost definitely comes in handy. Then Boundless Storm, so it does an AoE damage of 1000 for 1 second every 23 seconds. So sorry, 1000 damage 1 second for the total of 23 seconds. But mostly use this skill for the armor increase. Before I go into combat or try and activate this, or if I have a gap to swap to my back bar, activate this skill and increase my resistances. So once I do start combat, I'm just a little bit more durable. It does increase my movement speed by a small amount, or for a short amount of time, but this one does it for 8 seconds. And then Dark Conversion from the class skill line as well. So if I have an opportunity and I am running out of resources, using this skill will sacrifice stamina, I heal, and also restore some magicka there as well. It does have a 2300 magicka restore over 20 seconds, so it definitely increases your total magicka pool that you can use. Then moving on to Power Surge. So this is a source of Major Sorcery, but not the main source of Major Sorcery I use. If I have a chance to activate this skill beforehand, before combat starts, I'll definitely use it. But otherwise I do use potions, because if I am surprised or the skill's just about to run out, having to use potions is a lot quicker than swapping over to the back bar, activating the skill, and then switching back to the front bar. So I'll show you guys the potions in a second, and that's the main source of Major Sorcery as well. But if I have a chance to activate this beforehand, I don't have to waste the potion, definitely a bonus there. And then just the Twilight Matriarch there as well. And then the ultimate for the back bar is Charge Atronach. So if I have an opportunity, I'm not quite spotted or I'm not that dire situation, I will drop this down in the area, so it does initial damage, also stuns targets in the area, and dealing shock damage in the area as well. So let's say capture the flag or space where enemies need to stand in a specific area. Dropping this ultimate down on top of that will definitely ruin their day. The Atronach also has a synergy that allies can activate, increasing their damage done by 25% for 8 seconds. But again, in PvP, it's a lot of chaos, so people tend to miss synergies. Alrighty guys, so you see how it works. So opening skill is Haunting Curse. See that one proc, so activate it straight away. Dropping down the Fury. If I need to, I can activate the shield. On the back bar, activated Surge Sorcery, increasing my resources there, and activating my buffs. Now looking at the consumables I use, max health, max magicka food. I'd also have the better version there, which increases by about 200 to all these stats. But they're fairly expensive to make, so using the other ones are just fine. The potions I use is the Essence of Spell Power down here. So this is a potion that I crafted, so it increases my spell damage by 20% for 47 seconds instead of the 33 that the skill does. It also grants me Major Prophecy, which increases my spell critical rating, and restores some magicka on top of that. But these potions are very expensive in the ingredients that it uses. So these ingredients can sell for tens of thousands of gold. But since the Greymoor patch, they also changed the Alliance spell drafts from the traditional Magicka restore. So now it restores Magicka, increases your spell, your spell damage and your spell critical rating there as well. And you can buy these with Alliance points, which is really nice and a lot cheaper than it traditionally was. The other thing to note is that I did increase my alchemy to max. So the potion duration there is 47 seconds of major sorcery and major prophecy. And the potion cooldown is 45 seconds. So I can have this up at 100% of the time. It is just very expensive to do so. Alrighty guys, thanks for listening. If you have any ideas for builds that I need to do in the future, let me know in the comments down below. If you like the content that I'm putting out, hit that like and subscribe. And be safe and take care. Bye.